for watching Jody's Corner, my favorite.
YouTube was good. It's your boy Jody Joe. Welcome to Jody's Corner. This is the Wonder Woman 1984 spoiler review. Been waiting to let this thing out, man. We're gonna talk all of the spoilers about Wonder Woman 1984. I know some of you guys have already seen the film, so we could talk about it. Obviously, if you guys are here, you guys have seen the movie. It's on HBO Max, so I would say that over 95% of you guys have seen the film by now. So let's talk those spoilers. If you haven't got a chance to see the spoiler-free review, I encourage you to go check that spoiler-free review out now. It's on my channel. And guys, this is gonna take some time, but I would like to thank Patty Jenkins. I would like to thank Gal Gadot and everybody that's involved with making this film. This is an excellent film. It made me feel great watching it. And yes, I gave the film an A- because Wonder Woman 1984 is not a better film than the original Wonder Woman. I just got to be honest with it. As a film, it's not better. But I feel like Wonder Woman 1984, if you look at it as a superhero movie, it is a better superhero movie than Wonder Woman 2017. So that's where I don't do the whole double grade thing because I feel like that's just cheesy and it's a cop-out. If I'm going to put my grade down, I'm going to stand by my grade. It's all about these movies. It's about a film. So as a film, it is not better than Wonder Woman 1984. But if I was to grade the film as a superhero film, Wonder Woman 1984 is an A+ of a movie. It's so superhero-y. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So I want to talk about a lot of the pros, right? So we go right in there to Themyscira. We see baby Diana. We revisit Themyscira because that's one of the things I wanted to go back there, and I'm so glad that Patty took us back to Themyscira. And we see baby Diana taking part in their like Olympic Games or what have you. And you see Hippolyta. You see Antiope. I still call her Antiope because that's how it spells to me. Antiope. When I read the comics, I was always saying to myself, Antiope. Until I see the movie and they're saying Antiope. That sounds weird. So I'm going to still call her as I know reading the comic, Antiope. So we saw Antiope back. It was nice to see her. She looked like she hasn't aged a day. Still fit, still beautiful. Diana, just the way she talks to her, the way she looks at her, the relationship that she had cultivating little Diana was amazing. And to see Hippolyta again, the queen sitting up there all beautiful and elegant. It was so nice to take a trip back to Themyscira. I got to tell you that in this film, the first thing that triggered me, and I don't know why exactly, but I was triggered and emotional when the opening crawl hit and it showed and it panned the island and it showed these beautiful green hill peaks as the camera went, and then it just hit you with the amazing Hans Zimmer score. Dun, 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 dun. And when it said Patty Jenkins, directed by Patty Jenkins, I almost cried because I was so proud for Patty. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this. Like, Patty is the shit. Like, she's the hottest ticket in Hollywood to me. Like, she's Patty Jenkins. We're back for Wonder Woman Part 2. She's arrived. She's you're out here, Patty. That's what's up. And I'm just so proud of her. It was so nice to see that. My eyes got watery. I was like, oh my God, I'm about to watch. And then it panned in the mountain and it shows you the beautiful beach. And then we see the Olympic Games that they have. Remember, Diana, this was one of many of the warriors couldn't complete this task. I'm ready. I'm ready. And then you see the execution of how they're doing the Olympic Games, and it was the bar scene where Diana was swinging on these bars, and you got a reverse shot from behind her, and you got a precise moment in front of her. Like, she'll leave the bars, and it'll show her connecting to the bars from a different angle. That was beautiful direction. I don't know if Patty had multiple camera angles, but if that was more than one take, like she took the take of her behind her, grabbing on those bars and doing those tricks. And then she did another take in the front. That editing and blending was perfect. It looked like all just one sequence, and it looked fluent and beautiful. That was some excellent directing right there. So I was like, wow, this is precise and this is clean. The whole entire Olympic scene was clean. It was amazing to see how, they were doing the games and the way that you shoot these arrows into this ring, and then the ring turns your color and goes to the sky, and the signalers see it and they raise the flag and the banner comes down. It's just the uniqueness. That Wonder Woman Amazon film, that Amazon movie that they're working on. Yeah, I recorded this review like 3 weeks ago. So a lot has happened. Patty left Warner Brothers. So it's what old Jody was talking about in the spoiler review about Wonder Woman 3 and Amazon movie, she gone. So, the future could be shaping up in many different ways, but I just want to put a disclaimer. Patty is currently working for Disney now. Okay. Back to the review. That Warner Brothers basically said, yeah, you can make it. Let's make it happen. It hasn't been officially greenlit, but it's something that's in the air that I'm pretty sure that Warner Brothers is going to pull the trigger on. Patty gone, bruh. I can't wait to see that. I want to see the politics and the culture and the upbringing of the Mascara, what it's like to live there. So be on the lookout for Patty Jenkins' upcoming Amazon-based film. Looking forward to that. Nah, Jody, Patty gone. So she's on this horse, and then she's doing all these things. She's excelling. She, even as a little girl, it shows me that she is special. And it's something that, Wonder Woman 2017, we knew that she was special, but Hippolyta very much dumbed her down and didn't want her to be trained. But this film, I feel like the flashback took after the point where Antiope convinced Hippolyta to let her train Diana. And then when Hippolyta says, you will train her faster, harder than anyone before, all the time, train her. It was during that time where she was allowing Antiope to train with Diana. That's what we saw here in the flashback of Wonder Woman 1984. This wasn't you're weak, Diana. You can't do that. You can't do these things. That wasn't her. That was the Hippolyta and Diana that was open to embracing who she is. And she's an excellent warrior, even as a little girl. And then it shows that she took this little shortcut because she got sidetracked, so worried about what was going on behind her. She hit that branch, and then she saw this slope that led to a shortcut. She took the slope, but then everyone's worried because her flag didn't fall, and they're worried, where is she at? And then she comes out and reveals herself, and she tries to throw the final rod to win the Olympics, but Antiope says, no, Diana, you are not winning this because you are not the winner. No, let me. No, but you are not the winner, and there's nothing shameful about that. You're just not ready. I just think it's so beautiful how much Antiope shaped her. That just gives more character development all the way back to the first Wonder Woman. So this scene in Themyscira made Wonder Woman 1 even that much more better. And then we fast track to 1984, right? And we see Diana, she's in there eating, and she's eating at the table, and she's having dinner by herself, but there's a plate on the other end. The waiter comes and says, are you waiting for someone? She's like, no, I'm not. And then he starts to take this knife, this fork, this napkin, this cup, and all these things. And she's sitting there and she's looking at him, and she's looking at the people walking by, the couples, and she just loves to be in love. She misses Steve Trevor. She misses him. She can't move on without him. She can't see it, but she still wants companionship. And she's alone. She's lonely. She doesn't get out. She's really much about the being the superhero that saves people on the low. In this world, Wonder Woman saves people on the low. She doesn't want to be seen, as you guys know. She takes out cameras. She's like an urban legend that people talk about, but nobody has known or nobody has seen her. And that's the way she's been doing it for the last, I don't know, maybe 6 decades or so, since 7 decades or so, you know what I mean? So that's basically what's going on, and that's how the movie starts off. And she's working at this museum, and she's it's hard to get her title. She's archaeology and artifact something director. She's a top dog at the Smithsonian, I believe. This film takes place in Washington, D.C. Shout out to the homie Tarian Rain. He from the DMV. A lot of the scenes were shot at the Washington Monument and, like he said, a local mall in that area. And all over the Washington, all the, special places in D.C. This film was filmed there. So shout out to them. And there's an instance where at the beginning of the film, this film is just so 1980s, bro. The striped socks, the shell toe Adidas, the Nike Cortez, the big hair, the bright colors, the popped collars. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a popped collar. That motherfucker, pow. Don't nobody fold their collar, bro. These collars they popped. You know what I'm saying? Everybody walking around with their pop collar and shit. I'm like, this is tight, bro. Look at this old soda machine right there, bro. Look at that Pontiac Firebird. Like you seeing them zooming and racing, and the town that you see is so beautiful and colorful and 80s and retro, and it just looks real. The 80s is fire. Like, bro, like this movie captures the 80s like better than Back to the Future. Like, because Back to the Future spent most of its time in the 50s, but this film is very cultural. It captures that decade like no other. Seeing these old soda machines and these old radios and televisions. Diana got all these TVs in her house. Maxwell Lord meets her. Hello, I'm Maxwell Lord. Life is good, but it can be better. Like, I don't have a TV. Oh, well, I know the guy at Sears. I'm like, what Sears? Sears is under, and it's sad because Sears was a juggernaut. Sears was like the shit back then. Number one. Sears and Roebuck, I think it was called. Anyway, I know a man at Sears that can get you a TV today, 14 inches. I'm like, 14 inches? Miss me with that box TV, but it's tight though. The radio, the electronics, the Walkmans, the design, the costume designer is fantastic here. I'm not remembering her name. She's an Oscar award-winning costume designer. She also did the costumes for Wonder Woman 2017. She's fantastic, and she kills it here. All of the outfits that Steve Trevor was trying on and stuff look fire, you know what I'm saying? He was in love with the Nike Cortez. Patty, I wish you did a shell toe. I wish you did an Adidas classic shell toe over that Nike Cortez. It's three stripes all day. But I saw that you put I saw that the costume designer put some Adidas joggers on Steve Trevor. So I forgive it. Tight. So it's so 1980s. And she kicks the Firebird that almost runs into this lady jogging with her Walkman. And you're just instantly hit with these bright colors. And I'm like, man, is she this colorful? Color. I can't tell you how much I love color. DC was drowned out for the first few years, and just to see the color is just, man, it's just really good to see. So her world of the 1980s, Patty, and everyone else that is involved with crafting those sets did a fantastic job with the 1980s coming to play here. So it was great to see. It really, really was. And you could tell because, Pedro Pascal, Kristen Wiig, Patty, they came up in the 80s. Like the 80s to Patty and them is the 90s to me. You know what I'm saying? And the 90s to me is everything, bruh. You don't talk about. So I know that was passion project. I know it was fun for them. I know the cast had so much fun revisiting the 80s and reliving the 80s. I saw the Breakfast Club pose that Patty did, and it's just nice. They have fun on set, and it's great to see. There's a lot of love between these characters. And I've been following this film. I've been reading every article. I've been listening to everything everybody has been saying. And one thing I could tell you is that they all was like a family. They all had so much chemistry together, so much fun. I wish I opened up more on the TV set with Patty. I wasn't nervous when I was working with her on the I Am the Night show as a background. I just didn't want to show too much of myself to insert myself. I was just more reserved, but I really wish I showed more because after seeing the cast say how much they could just be themselves and stuff and laugh and joke and how much they like to joke, my whole life is a joke. I be joking like a motherfucker. So I was like, man, dang. I could have just opened more up and showed Patty more. I always kind of regret that to this day, but it is what it is. Hopefully I'll get other chances and then I'll really show that flavor and that pizzazz. But anyway, back to this film. So Maxwell Lord comes into play because, well, first she meets Barbara Minerva at the Smithsonian. So she's a top archaeological, and Barbara Minerva's, there's a little bit of a shift here. She's not an archaeologist. She's not out there in the fields like that. She's not out there finding artifacts. She's in the office, put to the side. Nobody cares about. Weird position. They don't even remember that she was even hired. Gemologist. She's a gemologist in this. So the reason why they needed her is because there was a jewelry store heist in the mall scene. And the jewelry store was crooked. The jewelry store itself was getting robbed, not for the jewelry that it had, for the black market schemes that it was running through the back. So they said, if we won't tell, if you don't tell, we're robbing you, and we won't out you as being a black market retail. So they took all the artifacts, and one of the artifacts contained a stone made of, I forgot the name of it, a certain material, a valueless material, but this artifact was held at the Smithsonian, and the FBI wanted Barbara Minerva to examine it because she is a gemologist, and they wanted to know why this thing was so valuable or important and stolen by some robbers. So let's talk about the mall scene before we go back to the Smithsonian. In the mall, we saw Wonder Woman for the first time. She takes her lasso out, pop, 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 hits the cameras out. She shows up colorful and everything, and the little black girl's like, huh? She was like, huh? Hold on, girl. She grabs her and slides her across the ground into some teddy bears. Little black girl's like, the way she hit the teddy bears, it was all soft. She was smiling, and then she wrecked the dudes and grabbed them, and she was like, shh. She was like, uh-huh. She was like, uh-huh. Black girl was like, that little girl was so cute. Shout out to the black girl. That was the black girl. Why do I gotta call her a black girl? I guess it's so y'all know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the little girl that was in the movie, and shout out to her mama and daddy who raised her, because she's adorable. Anyway, there was an issue I had with the mall scene, right? It would look good and it was beautiful, colorful. It was kind of cheesy. It was kind of campy. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys robbing the thing. These are guys robbing the jewelry store, but one of them fumbles a gun, and then lady, gun, and the whole mall goes crazy. People are hiding under the tables. It's such a serious thing, and everybody's scared like it's actually people shooting in the mall. And I'm like, wow, it's a little bit of an overreaction, but okay, let's see what goes on. So they're running and scrambling. Guys trying to pose like he's a regular customer. He's like, you can't hide. Let's go. So they're running up the escalator. This big doofus is running up, and he stops and sees the security guards. Wait, we need the police. We need the police. With no gun, we need the police. And the guy all of a sudden just abandons being a robber and it becomes a kidnapper, snatches up a little girl. I'm not going back to jail, and hangs her over this ledge. I'm like, that's a little bit much. I'm like, that's a lot for what's going on here. And I understand Wonder Woman's going to come and wreck these fools, which is cool. I'm just like, dang, we couldn't find a better way for Wonder Woman to show up than this kind of like these three stooges over here being dumb. And then all of a sudden overreacting and dudes hanging a girl over the thing. I don't know. I was like, whatever. But she showed up, she wrecked them, and it was nice to see her. She had this nice sequence where she slid across the floor and kicked dude, but he did like these 3 stiff flips that didn't look realistic. And she caught him, and then, days saved, right? And then at the end, she drops all 5 of them, wraps them up, and drops them on a car that smashes the whole roof. You think they're dead. I'm like, whoa. But they're just all there. I'm like, somebody should have died here. I just feel like, I don't know. That whole mall scene was like, it was nice to see and all, but it was more like a call to old school Superman, right? You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, sir, would you care to step outside? It's 1980s, right? So I think that was a callback to that. I think that was intentional for sure. I think that's what was the point of it. All right, so let's get back to where Barbara Minerva's at with this museum. She's the gemologist, and Maxwell Lord enters. Hello, I'm Maxwell Lord. And he does this little bit, and he's very interested in this stone because he has been following it for a very long time. He knows what the stone can do. He knows its origin and the power that it holds. So he starts to lay his charm on Barbara And Barbara's enthralled with this man because he is handsome, charismatic, and funny, and most of all, paying her attention. Barbara's very insecure. She's very socially awkward, and she's very sensitive and nice and loving and kind and funny. And all of these are the traits that Diana said that she wishes she had when they had the dinner. And she said, I had a guy, that I loved, and she was like, you don't get out? Like, you look like you're always out, like all the time, like always out. Like, I mean, that's why I liked Kristen Wiig so much, because Patty found a way to utilize Kristen Wiig's comedy history and make it a pro in this movie. Because in the time where Kristen Wiig was good and she was the good guy, she was very much selling it's crazy, like I don't know, like so pretty, I was like, yeah, this is her. This is Kristen Wiig. This is where she shines. But there's going to come a time where she needs to get savage and vicious. Well, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But it worked. And I understood how, Diana's pretty, but secluded. And Kristen Wiig is also secluded, but she's very outgoing. And he put the moves on her. Like Maxwell Lord lied to the Smithsonian saying that, I'm going to donate on the partner level, probably tens of millions of dollars, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, only to get access to that specific part of the Smithsonian, to get close to that gym. And Barbara was in the way of him getting to his gym. He saw a very gullible woman, and he charmed her, swooned her, and invited her to a party that he was going to be hosting with his, people and stuff. So it was at this time that they talked about the gym. They're holding the gym, and she says how this thing could create wishes, because Diana's reading it, and she's reading it, says one wish and one desire and stuff like that. And the guy touched it. I wish for a coffee. He walks. Anybody want a coffee? Ooh, it worked. She was like, wow, did you see that? And then Diana's holding the gem and she's thinking something. She's like, yeah, if only. She doesn't actually wish for anything. She's only doing it in her mind. Now, I want you guys to remember that, because this is where I'm talking about when it comes to the story and how there's some inconsistencies, how you could start to pull threads and stuff I said in my spoiler-free review. Just leave that in your mind, how mentally she made a wish and she wanted Steve Trevor to come back. She mentally did that. And later on, Barbara Minerva gets the stone and she looks at it and she says, I know what I wish. I wish to be cool like Diana, because she saved her. Diana saved her from going home from this bad guy who tried to fondle her in the park. And, some people would be like, oh, man, that's just why the men got to be so. No, it's not men. That's that guy in the 80s. Let me tell you, men in the 80s were a lot different than they are today. They were much more aggressive. And he was clearly a drunk. Perfectly fine with there being a drunk creep pervert in the park, because sometimes there's drunk creep perverts in the park. So nothing wrong there. It was cool. And then Diana saved her. She went home and she went back to the Smithsonian. She said, I want to be cool. I want to be just like Diana. Beautiful, smart, cool, all that. She wakes up the next morning and instantly realizes that she's wearing the same clothes. She rips off her skirt because she has leggings, and she pulls her shirt down, and instantly she looked sexy to me. Kristen Wiig is a beautiful woman, and the way they gave her the makeup and the big hair and the eyeliner and mascara and the nice leggings with the little pull down thing she had going on with her heels. She jumped up, missed the spill. She was like, good thing you're good on your heels. She surprised herself, like, dang. And the Asian guy who didn't want to pick up her papers, all of a sudden is like, dang, Barbara looking good. So she's instantly starting to become sexy. Her wish has been granted. She is going to become all the things that she wanted from Diana. Diana, on the other hand, she is still, finding her way. She makes her ways to this party, and then Barbara gets her dress and all that. And the party happens, and she comes out of her Chrysler Fifth Avenue. I noticed that was a Chrysler Fifth Avenue. Shout out to that Chrysler Fifth Avenue, because we had a Chrysler Fifth Avenue when I was little. It was a 1985 white Chrysler Fifth Avenue with chrome accents, and it had this velvety red interior. All the Chrysler Fifth Avenues had this velvet interior throughout the whole car. They're really known for that, and I'll never forget it as a kid. Ours was velvety red, So freaking 80s. They had some that came with blue because we had a neighbor who had a Chrysler Fifth Avenue, but all of his interior was like this dark blue. I'll never forget it. So shout out to that Chrysler Fifth Avenue, extremely 80s because we had one in the 80s and I never will forget that Chrysler Fifth Avenue. So she steps out of her Chrysler Fifth Avenue and she walks up the ramp to the party, and every guy at the party is just enthralled by her beauty. Diana is beautiful. Gal is beautiful. Yaren, you lucky, bruh. But shout out to me and Yaren, her husband. Yaren is her husband. We have the same birthday, June 28th. So shout out to Yaren. And Yaren is also in this movie, by the way. I saw this guy. This was in the movie. He's at the end of the movie. You know, there's a guy with the kids on the carousel. Is it a carousel or something at the end with the snow? There's a man there, and that's Gal's husband in there. And I don't know if those were her daughters or not. I tried to get a good look. I really couldn't see because I saw the whatever. But I saw her husband was in this movie. So shout out to Patty for putting, or Gal for making that happen. However they went down. Shout out to Yaren though. I saw you, bro. And so she's at this party. Everybody wants to swoon her and talk to her. She's known for being that dime piece that everybody want to holler at. Man, Diana got that swag. Everybody wants some. But Barbara pulls up in this dress that you guys seen in the trailer where she's swaying her arms with that purse and shit. And it plays that song. I ain't gonna lie, man. She was sexy. Like Kristen Wiig looked really, really sexy with that black dress on and that big blonde hair and that little hand purse she had. Whew, she was looking nice. She was working out, you know what I'm saying? Because Kristen Wiig used to have a little bitty little pudge gut. She had like one of those, I'm just naturally thin, but I got this little pudge, it's natural. And that little pudge, especially I'm telling you for women, I know that little pudge right there that doesn't really look like nothing, it's hard to work off. So I know she did a gang of sit-ups and a whole bunch of cardio to get that pudge off. So shout out to Kristen Wiig for looking fire in this movie and getting that physicality on point. Yes, she looked good. Her, Diana, looked good. It was a good looking duo up in this movie. So Maxwell Lord is like, God dang, what the freak, baby, you fine. Paraphrasing. She's like, oh, they on me. And she's still funny and still innocent. And that makes her more sexy to me. So he's like, you want to go to a private room? She's like, yes. So they go in the room. They start making out. I'm like, ooh. And then he's kissing her. He sees the rock over there. He sees the stone. He's like, what is this? Oh, I should be able to take it with me. I have a gemologist of my own who could give it a look. It's Latin, right? She's like, yeah. So basically, he takes her down. He really takes her down. Took her down and also took that gem, took that thing back to the place. And he says, I wish to be you, the Dreamstone. The Dreamstone then disintegrates, becoming him. Now Maxwell Lord is actually the Dreamstone. And his idea was to become the Dreamstone so he can convince people or trick people to grant wishes for themselves only so he can take something valuable from them. It's also known as the Duke of Deception, the monkey's paw, the god of deception. So it's a Greek god, right? So that's the history behind it. And I'm like, okay, for sure. So this gem is powerful. Let's talk about the gem. And this is one of the negatives that I have. The gem is a MacGuffin. It is useless to the story outside of the fact that it is the device that makes this plot happen. It doesn't have real history. There's not enough story behind it. And I feel like the stone, using the gem as the MacGuffin for this film, was a mistake. And that's one of the issues that I have with this movie. All of this stuff that's working here, and it's a stone. Where Diana gives a brief, it's the language of the gods. It's the one of the evilest gods, the Duke of Deception, the god of trickery. A lot of people, all the civilizations that used to have it throughout the histories have failed months later. But I feel like there were so many different angles that could have been taken here to make this all make sense. Barbara Minerva was a gemologist. I wish she was more of an archaeologist. more like she was in the comic book. She was an explorer. Why couldn't I say to myself, why couldn't Barbara Minerva have been obsessed with ancient Greek artifacts to the point where she learns about a legend of a mysterious Amazonian race that's hidden from society, and she journeys to a far off place and finds the golden eagle armor from a legendary warrior named what was her name, Hyperia, and she finds and she discovers the armor, and Diana learns that she's onto the trail, and she automatically becomes involved with everything Barbara Minerva is doing. And she gets notoriety for discovering the Golden Eagle armor. And Diana is trying to, yeah, that's my stuff. I need that. Without trying to, making that tension happen. Or where she discovers the Golden Eagle armor, and she meets the Cheetah God, and the Cheetah God imbues her with the power. And then, there's so many different iterations in the comic book that you could take from. And I just feel like, and I'm only mentioning this not because this is the way I want it. I just feel like this way is better. It's just better than using a MacGuffin gem that doesn't really need to be in this movie at all, besides the fact that it's a MacGuffin. It's the thing that they need to, that triggers everything in the story, and it means nothing else besides that. Like nothing. So that's the issue I had. The stone being the thing and turning Minerva into a in the closet, in the house, in the office gemologist. She should be out there exploring and stuff like that. And but it is what it is. So the story does have some questionable elements to it that we're going to continue to go throughout this review. Let's talk about it. Steve Trevor, his return. Steve Trevor comes back from the dead, and she wished for him to come back mentally, and he just comes to her in this party, and she's like, Diana. He's like, excuse me, please stop following me. I don't even know you. I wish we had more time. And she's instantly freezes. What did you say to me? He was like, I was looking for you, You don't even know me? Like, he was like, yeah, I know you. And he put the Casio watch in her hand and did the same gesture he did from the first Wonder Woman movie. I can save today, but you could save the world. And then the camera's panning, and she's like, Steve? And then they had that embracing, passionate hug of, oh, man, baby, I missed you. And then it pans, but this guy doesn't look nothing like Steve Trevor. It's just a regular guy. Until it pans, and then it shows, oh, it's Steve Trevor. So it's a little bit, I think that it's a little confusing. I think people will be confused when they see it. Like, wait a minute, is that Steve Trevor, or is it a guy? Is she hallucinating? Is she seeing it in her mind? What's going on here? Is he back, or is he not? Is this a trick? I think it's a little bit confusing because, and here's what I think. I've seen this movie twice now, and here's what I think. I think that it is the guy that you see in the mirror. When Steve Trevor looks in the mirror and he sees that different looking guy, that's how he looks all the time. But because Diana loves and hears his voice, and his soul and essence was transferred into that body, even the voice, and it enabled Diana to see him, with her memory and the love that she has for him. And I also believe that Patty chose to show us Steve Trevor so we could understand how Gal sees him too. It's a little bit confusing, and I could be wrong, but that's the best way I could explain it, because I do not believe that was Steve Trevor's body showing physically at all. It was that other guy, but he just came into his body. But Patty chose to show us the viewpoint of how Gal sees him, and she sees him as Steve Trevor. And he was like, this guy's kind of nice. He's not bad looking. And she was sitting there like, all I see is you. So I was like, okay, so I get it. She could see that it's not Steve, but she knows it's Steve, so she sees Steve. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like that's a little weird, right? Because I think it would be good if it was a Cersei just making a hallucination, or the gemstone bringing really Steve Trevor back from the dead. Why? It's weird that they chose to do it like that, because they could have just brought literally Steve Trevor's body into existence, because we saw that they did that in the film later when the nuclear missiles were going and then the wish was taken away, the nuclear missiles destroyed. So they had a physical presence. So they, maybe, I don't know. But I know in the comic book that Steve Trevor did die, but his grandson was also named Steve Trevor and looked just like his grandfather. And that's kind of how they redid that, I believe. I remember I was reading, Steve Trevor had a grandson that looked exactly like him, and that was kind of like a reincarnation type of situation. So maybe there's a little bit of that in there, but I can understand how some people are very confused. I know I sure was the first time I saw it, and when I saw it the second time, it just doubled down what I initially thought. Okay, he's just in his body, and Gal's kind of like seeing him, a little bit. A little bit of an issue for me. That was one of the another issues that I had. Also, so we know that he's back and he's showing her, she's showing him. And then it's like, here's the thing. Steve Trevor comes back. He says he woke up in this guy's apartment. So he's in the apartment, and he also mentions how he spent up the day cleaning the guy's room. So you've seen the room, you've seen the technology in the house already. And he said he looked her up in the phone book and he went to her apartment and she wasn't there. Then he tracked her and followed her to the party and all that. All that time you spent searching for Diana and searching up and cleaning up the house, why are you acting so surprised when you see an airplane, when you see outdoor buildings? Why are you acting so surprised when you see stuff that's normally outside? You'd think that he would have already experienced that while he was looking for Diana, but later on we're seeing him oh, wow. Oh. I'm like, bro, you've been here for a while. You were looking for Diana. You saw some shit. You even cleaned up your apartment, so you saw gadgets and all type of stuff. And then when they woke up together the next morning, he was like, oh, this room is amazing. And it was a nice shot where she just wakes up and looks over, and it's him with a Pop-Tart. He's like, it's Pop-Tarts. I've been eating these all day. I've had 3 pots of coffee. God, this room is amazing. It's the best room I've ever been in. She's like, the best room you've ever been in? She thought about it. She's like, you know what? It is, because you're in it. This is the best room I've ever been in. She's like, let's stay here all day. And they're just doing their little thing. And it's cute and it's adorable. But it's like, it just makes you, but if you were, that's why I said, it's like, but if you were this and this and this, it makes you question things. And I'm telling you, there's little things like that throughout the film, but I'm like I told you, it's all about getting to that end result. It's all about getting to the message. It's all about getting to the epic moments. It's all about the overall theme of the film. Some of this stuff is a little bit, but it's still great. So then, Barbara Minerva finally starts to become into her own. She's lifting weights and muscles. She's strong and gym and all that, doing amazing things. And she's coming into her own. And she, Diana's like, yo, what's up with this gym? Where did you find this gym? Where did it come from? She's like, all right, I'm on it. I'll figure it out. And Maxwell Lord gets called a loser by this Mr. Stagg, who was an investor in his oil company. Maxwell Lord is a con man of sorts. He doesn't like to be known as a con man, but he's a shady person. He's not a good guy. And he bought up millions of acres of desolate land that no other investor really wanted. And the land that he purchased doesn't have oil. It scientifically wasn't perceived to ever exhume oil, but he bought it anyway. And he got this investor, this gullible investor, old man named Stagg. And Stagg says, you got 48 hours to give me my money, or the FTC is going to get a nice report from me, you loser. And his son, I knew his son's name. Oh, no. And, what is his son's name? I kept saying his son's name. Alliston, right? Alliston. Alliston loves his dad. He just wanted to hang with his dad. He didn't care that his dad was into the shady business. He didn't care. He was always there. Alliston, I'm not a loser. I'm not a loser, Alliston. Don't listen. And you could tell this is a man that's so caught up with impressing his son, because his childhood itself wasn't too great. And we fast forward to the lasso of truth when he revealed we finally saw how he was raised, right? We saw it flash back to him remembering his father beat his wife. And we flash back to him peeing in the bed and his father being really mean to him. his father yelling at him and hurting and abusing him, and then him finally being able to escape, go to college, never be accepted by the young kids when he was in middle school because he had holes in his shoe, a tamale in his hand. What is that? And he got to college, and then he graduated and made something for him. He made his own little thing, a little rinky-dink hole-in-the-wall company, put his little gold slick name, little jar of M&Ms and stuff on a little table. He made something of himself coming from a broken home. So you understood that. You understood that towards the end of the movie. When the end of the movie hit, Maxwell Lord had a lot of development, you know what I mean? And to know that he had a son that he wanted to not be like his father. He wanted to impress his kid, and he didn't want his own son to think of him as a loser. He grew up his whole life being called a loser by his father, by students, everyone. He didn't want his son to think of him as a loser too. And he was obsessed with being number one. He was obsessed with being that guy. He was being obsessed with showing that he could be rich and popular and famous and all of the amazing things to make his son proud. And that really hit me in my heart because I'm a father too. And my son sometimes wets the bed. He has an issue with wetting the bed, and that one spoke straight to me. And I remember how I reacted when my son wet the bed. There was a couple of times where I lost my temper with my son when he wet the bed, and there was a couple of times where I raised my voice at him. It wasn't like in this movie where his father was completely destroying his son. It was at the point where I was angry because like 3 nights in a row of washing your sheets and replacing it, you wet the bed. It's like, geez, son, what's going on? I got frustrated with him. And I remember how it made me feel like afterward, like he was sad about it. My son just sad about it, you know? And I was like, jeez, man. And then I learned to, prior to seeing this movie, I learned to try to, know that my son he's trying. It's not his fault. So I had more conversations with him. Like, son, I know this is a problem for you. Just try your best to, use the bathroom before you go to sleep. And I would always remind him, use the restroom before you go to sleep. I wouldn't give him water after a certain time. I'll give him a little sip. If he needs to say, I'm thirsty, I'll give him a little something. Make sure you use the restroom. But I'm saying, son, it's not good that you're wet in the bed. You got to try a little bit harder now. Try to get up, and I'll try to make, adjustments to where you're not wanting to get up and pee. I would even wake up in the middle of the night. When I'm working late on my YouTube channel, I'll wake up, I'll be sitting here at 2 a.m. doing production on my videos. And before I'm tired and before I go to bed, I'll go in there and I'll wake my son up. Son, come on, get up. And when he's in the middle of the night, he's like a dead body. His mind just doesn't work. So I have to pick him up and guide him to the restroom. Come on, pee. And I'll let him pee, and then I'll take him into his bed. I love you, son. I love you, daddy. All right, good night. He won't pee the bed. And my son hasn't peed in months in the bed because I had to do more to help him, and it helped him, so geez, how is something like that shit hit me right in my freaking heart. I was like, God dang. I went through this exact same thing with my son, except I wasn't no abusive father, you know what I mean? So I was crying like a motherfucker at the end of this movie with Maxwell Lord, right? So anyway, so that was great development for him. He was such an amazing character to this film. He was like I said, his acting, his passion, and the way he was delivering the lines and stuff like that. He was fantastic. So he started to give these wishes at an alarming rate, get rich, and because he became this stone, so many people were coming to him, and here's another thing that's confusing to me. He would grant wishes, but he was he was decaying. So he was getting sick. He was like, if I have to grant these wishes one at a time, it's going to kill me. I need to reach more people. And it's confusing because is it you have to keep granting wishes in order to stop decaying? Or is it you're decaying because you're granting so many wishes? It's a little bit weird. He was having to sit down with his son, and he says, well, then I wish I could just be with you. He said, no, Alistan, no. He lost connection because he didn't want his son to give up his wish. It's about greatness. I want you to wish for something great because if your dad is great, you're great. And then he said, then I wish for your greatness. Ooh, and the wish happened. And the wish that his son put for his greatness is what enabled him to go throughout the film and achieve in doing what he was doing. So remember that Diana wished without verbally saying anything, and Steve Trevor came to life. The son wished and had to touch Maxwell Lord in order for it to come true. But there was this plot. You guys know the plot about there's technology. He became president. Fast forward through all of his stuff, he became president of the United States. And he says, what is that? He says, that's infrared or radio beacon. It's a device enabled to take over all the TVs in the world. It uses radio receivers that beam down. It's all around us, and it touches electronics and influences them. He says, okay, I need that all over the world. So it touches people? He says, I wouldn't say that much, but for the lack of better words, yeah. And I'm like, you're losing me a little bit there. So the film is telling me that because there's these radio waves beaming from outer space, like down in this monitor, it's all in the room, and those digital frequencies are touching me. So it's touching the camera and the monitors, and it's touching the satellites, and the satellites are connected to him, to his camera, and he's telling the whole world to give me your wishes. And that's considered a connection. When the whole film I'm seeing you have to physically touch people in order for the wish to be granted. That's where you're starting to lose me a little bit, and I think that's a little bit messy. It's some of the rules are sloppy here. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you're not really touching the whole world, so how are these wishes actually happening? And they sell me on this little technology-based thing that's physically touching us, that, and it's like, that's a little bit of a stretch. Didn't like that too much. So that's one of the other things that I had an issue with in this film. So we're talking about the Steve Trevor return, right? Overall, Steve Trevor helped do some amazing things. Let's go over a couple of other little small things before we move on. The CGI of the film, there were some issues with the CGI. I expected more from a 2020 film. It looked a lot like Wonder Woman 2017, in my opinion. Some of Wonder Woman 2017, some scenes look better. I just expected more quality from the CG. Also, when Wonder Woman is running around, it didn't look real. And I know that Wonder Woman was running, that Patty, they were doing wires, right? So Diana, in the Washington D.C. scene, where she finally, she makes that run. She says, "I renounce my wish for Steve," and she makes that real fast run in D.C. She's on wires, and her feet really aren't touching the ground. And I thought that, hey, it's fine with CG. It'll look like her feet are actually touching the ground. I think of films like Captain America: Civil War. Do you guys remember when Black Panther, Bucky Barnes, and Captain America were having that chase when they were fighting, and they were just running with the cars all extra fast? And it really looked like they were running fast because their feet were touching the floor, and it just looked, the motion looked fluid. Here in this film, it didn't look like she was really running. You could tell it looked like she was floating everywhere. Like I'm seeing her run to the cars, and I'm run down the street, and I'm looking at her when she was in Cairo, and she was on this road of this very much Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark reenacted type of scene, which was amazing, by the way. She's running and pushing these trucks and these cars, and it just doesn't look authentic, and it's a little off-putting. I'm like, that don't look too real. And that was one of the issues that I had, that I noticed. So let's talk about the God of Deception and the source of this stone. The issue that I have, besides it being a MacGuffin, is, and you could have helped fix it, is give us a flashback of the God of Deception. Show us him. Like if you would have had that God in this movie. Like it's hard for me because, like, why didn't you just put the God in the film? You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Like if you put that God of Deception in the movie, it makes so much more sense because he's manipulating things and he's creating things. I just feel like that would have been more, and it would have gave more weight to the actual ring that goes around the stone itself, and it would have meant more. So it would have been nice to see Dolos. I think that's the Greek god is Dolos, and put him in this film. Let's talk about some more amazing things. The no man's land scene, right? Let's get there. The scene that brought me to tears and shivered me to death. You guys know the scene, right? You felt it. You saw it. What you guys think? It's fire, right? It's fire. The greatest superhero scene that I've ever experienced. Me personally. She's damaged. She's losing her strength. There was a scene where they were in Cairo and she had to lasso those two children from the road from being toppled by Maxwell Lord's new motorcade that he received. She lassos to try to grab the kids. She grabs the kids, and her own strength, she notices she can't even hold on to the lasso. She slips, falls, and is just so damaged. And you know, they have this fight. I'm gonna get back to Cheetah after Cheetah. Let me go to Cheetah first. Cheetah in the White House. They have this battle, and Cheetah proceeds to beat the shit out of Diana. And she's so damaged, and Steve Trevor's carrying her through Washington, D.C. after getting her butt whooped by Cheetah. And she's just like, he's like, they're tired, they're exhausted. I've noticed that not only was she losing her power, and I don't know if any of you else noticed this, but if you noticed that during that transition that Barbara was wearing much more sexier clothes. Like, for instance, when they went to the guy named Frank, who was a descendant of a Mayan, and they found out the source of the artifact, she showed up with that that fur coat and the dress and skirt, the high boots, and Diana showed up in like a jumpsuit, and she had her hair pinned back. I believe that was them showing that not only was Diana losing her strength, she was losing some of her edge, her beauty, her coolness. I noticed that her look was much more softer and softer with the outfits that were being shown throughout this film. And that's something that I noticed and I picked up on. That's really good stuff there. I like that type of detail there. That was quite nice. So as Steve Trevor is so exhausted and tired of carrying Diana, they meet up on this brick, and they're just all the chaos around them. All these nuclear weapons are getting everywhere. The whole entire world is divided, is greedy, is separated. It's chaos, just like today in 2020. And that's exactly what I was talking about when I told you that this world needs this film right now. And I completely understand why Patty signed off on this, and this is out now. I completely see it. We needed this because we are at war with each other. We're in a world of Twitter's toxic and social media's trash. I'm gonna be deleting my accounts. I'm gonna be deleting my accounts soon because they're not necessary. But we live in a cancel culture world where politics breeds hate. People are just mean to one another. We're segregated. We're divided. Black versus white, rich versus poor, haves and the have-nots, the COVID, the vaccine, a president that doesn't want to leave office, a president that wants to hurry up and get in office. It's just so much stuff going on. Issues with Russia, issues with Korea, all of this stuff, this tension, everything bottled up in 2020. And here we have it represented in this movie, and Diana being the one to fix it. And the message being here is that we're all human. We have our issues, but we need to come together. Only when we come together can we save the world. We can only do it together. We have the power to do that. No one else can manipulate us, even if they try. We can break through the manipulation if we come together and work as one. It's a beautiful message of unity, humankind, and Wonder Woman was the catalyst. And thank you, Patty, for making this movie. This is a beautiful film. So Steve Trevor's like, they're tired, and Diana's hurt really bad. And he's like, Diana, I've lived a great life. You need to let me go. You're losing your powers. You need to save the world. And then she just transferred, and then it shows the camera looking at Diana as Wonder Woman, and she just looks so different in this scene. Her makeup is different. I don't think she has eyelashes. They've made her not look pretty and she looked damaged and she looked used and she looked tired. She looked sick. And that was a really, and the way she sold the scene was, she said, no, I can't lose you. I can't give it up. He says, he's like, no, you got to do this. I love you. I will always be here for you. You know what you have to do. And then she's crying and she has this amazing acting. She says, I'll never love again. And that makes me think of A Star Is Born. I'll Never Love Again, the song when Bradley Cooper died. Me and my girl were dying in the theater, just boo-hooing together. I'll never love again. I'll never let the sun shine. Won't even let the sunlight in. I'll never love again. Don't want to feel another touch. Don't want to start another fire. Don't want to know another kiss. No other name is coming off of my lips. Don't want to give my heart away to another stranger. It's beautiful lyrics. That's a beautiful song. And when she said, I'll never love again with tears in her eyes, I was like, stop, don't do it. I'm like, I'll be good. It's cool. And he says, yes, you will. You'll be fine. This world has a lot. And they share a kiss. And she turns this corner and you see Steve Trevor face go to the darkness. And she's just leaving and she's walking. And I didn't hear this until the second try. When she turns away after kissing him, he's yelling, he's screaming to her. He says to her, go ahead, Diana. I'll always be here. I'll always be there watching you. And that just effed me up. And then she started to run. And she said, I renounce my wish. Leaving the love that she had behind to save the world. And the scene. She takes flight to a building. Takes flight to a car, to an airplane. And the name of the scene that I make this scene, I'm calling this the No Man's Land scene. Taking flight. She's in the air out of chaos and rage, and then she hits the solidarity. She feels the wind. She feels it, and then you can hear Steve Trevor's voice when he said to her when he was in the plane, which she made invisible, by the way. Okay, the invisible jet scene, fire. She's powerful, right? She did it with a coffee cup, and she lost the coffee cup. I'm so sorry. The invisible jet is going to make a lot of fans blow up in their seat. Patty, that's a great thing that you did there. Fire. I was like, what the heck? Invisible jet. But in that invisible jet through the fireworks, he told her, she was looking outside into the sky. She was like, flight. Just flying. That was always you. That was always your thing no one else could do. He was like, that's really easy. It's nothing. It's feeling the air, being one with it, touching it, feeling it. That part's easy. And here she is, say goodbye to the one that she loves, and she's in the air, and the CG's gone. This is the best looking CG. This is the best looking comic booky scene I've ever seen. These bright powdery colors. She's in the air, and she feels the air. She hears his voice. I just feel the air. She puts her arms out, and she's just hovering in the air. And this score is playing. Hans Zimmer's like, for sure. You doing something epic here, Patty. This scene is epic, Patty. He's like, for sure, I got a score for this. And that score starts to hit. And once she's in the air and she does this, she does. My eyes are just watering in pure superhero epicness. She starts to balance herself out with his voice. And she starts to fly in that score. She starts to soar. And she does the Superman pose. I was watching Superman and Wonder Woman together in the same scene. And she wrecked me. And she does the lasso to whip a cloud to start again, to get to train herself. And then she just starts to take off and fly like Superman in the sky. To that score, that beautiful score. And that beautiful shot, my freaking heart was tingling. My stomach was butterfly. I had goosebumps. I'm breathing hard. My eyes is watering. I'm sitting here watching her learn how to fly from a man that has gone beyond the grave, still teaching her. And that simple reason right there is why Steve Trevor was worth being in this movie. Without it, he shouldn't have been here. But God dang it, for that scene, for him to be gone and to still teach her something, that was his last gift to her. I'm here with you. Let me show you how to fly. She killed me. It was so epic to see. And it was at that moment I said, oh, that's it. This movie's fire. All that shit else. What we got on this list? I got a little list here. Not a list. It's just like little plots, little lines to talk about, like questionable story, little line, and then I talk about it. This is the only time I did this for a movie review. This questionable story, Steve Trevor's return, the stone MacGuffin, the CGI, the running, the out the window, because it didn't matter, because scenes like this completely forgive it. And that's what I was talking about. And that's why I gave it the A-. And there's some other things that brought the grade down from an A that I gave Wonder Woman 3 years ago. Cheetah. It shows this amazing, it shows Hesperia or Hysteria. I think her name was Hysteria, the legendary Amazonian warrior who stayed in man's world to hold them off while the Amazons escaped to their island. And she sacrificed herself. That was beautiful and that was awesome. And the armor, I thought, was going to be more useful than it actually, I thought it was going to be more useful than it actually was. It was fan service, the Golden Eagle armor, and well, there's a history behind it because of Hysteria. It had some weight to it, but it was mostly fan service because she already knew how to fly. She didn't need the wings, and when she actually engaged with Cheetah, it was rendered useless. So Cheetah was good in the film. I like Barbara Minerva in the film. She was excellent. But when she turned into Cheetah, some people don't like the design. I love the design, and I think the CG was okay. The CG wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was perfectly okay. The best scene of Cheetah was when Diana was looking up at her and said, "Barbara, what did you do?" And it showed her like silhouette and her yellow eyes. That was the best scene I've seen of Cheetah. My issue is that the film didn't put enough respect on Cheetah's name, in my opinion. Cheetah is one of Wonder Woman's most cunning, savage, powerful, deadly foes. And it didn't show in this movie why she's that cunning and powerful and deadly. This movie is softer than the first Wonder Woman, and that's not a good thing. I understand that she's very much, this film, she's so hopeful, and she doesn't want to get her hands dirty. She doesn't want to kill. She doesn't want to even hurt anyone. She didn't want to hurt the CIA agents in the White House. She didn't want to hurt any of the bad guys. She said, "You have brakes." And when she took the steering column out of the guy on the road of Cairo, she didn't hurt anybody in this film. It seems like even the bank robbers, they weren't hurt. This film was made more for families than the first Wonder Woman was. I've noticed that the first Wonder Woman is a real PG-13 film. It's a solid PG-13. This one is because of little other. This was a softer Wonder Woman movie. This is a softer Wonder Woman. This film doesn't take it there with the violence. It didn't give the graphic. It didn't give the violence that I wanted. It didn't give the fight scenes that I wanted. So when it comes to Cheetah, she wanted to protect Maxwell Lord because if the stone is destroyed, then all of the wishes go away, right? That's the story. Either the entire world renounces their wish, is one way to save the world, or Maxwell Lord has to be destroyed. And Barbara didn't want that because she wanted to keep her cheetah. She wanted to keep her cheetah power. And what's weird to me is that in the plane, Max Warlord looks at her in the helicopter after taking a ride with him, after beating up Barbara, Wonder Woman the first time. And he says to her, "You wished for something, eh?" He says, "Yeah, that price is heavy, huh?" He says, "But, I'll wish my body back if I have to." So more wishes he makes, the more he heals. And he says, what do you want to know? She said, "But you can only have one wish." He says, "No, I'm the one who grants the wishes. Somebody always has something to give. So as long as people have something to give, I can keep giving wishes." So the whole grant a one wish rule is out the window now, because it's not a stone, it's a man. Men are flawed. So he was able to grant Barbara another wish. "Tell me what you want to be." She says, "I don't want to be like anyone else. I want to be number one. I want to be the apex predator." Which is weird. Her character didn't give any sign that she was, in love with animals, in love with creatures. She was a gemologist. So the fact that she would choose a cheetah based on the way this character was written doesn't really blend well for me. Why would you want to be an apex predator? Why would you want to be a cheetah? It just doesn't. It's like you never would have thought that this nerdy, innocent woman would want her to be a cheetah. So she literally becomes a cheetah. She got two wishes. Her first wish was to get Wonder Woman's powers, and her second wish was to be a cheetah. And it's kind of weird because you already were powerful. You already were strong. I would argue that you were stronger when you fought Wonder Woman in DC, but because Wonder Woman was weaker, so I guess it makes sense why she was kind of getting the edge on her. But when she got her cheetah power, she only changed form. She didn't really get stronger, in my opinion, because when they finally came time for Wonder Woman to come and fight her with the Golden Eagle armor, it didn't really make sense why she showed up in the Golden Eagle armor. Why did Diana need to show up with the Golden Eagle armor outside of fan service? And I know you could say, "Oh, it was a symbol because she was saving the world," just like Hysteria did against all those men. Well, Hysteria was going against, looked like Spartan soldiers, men actually jabbing at her to, represent the world to kill her. And she sacrificed and gave her life up. This is not the same situation. She really didn't need that eagle armor because she wasn't Cheetah when they first fought. I mentioned in a lot of my videos that it would be dope if Cheetah fights Barbara in the first round. They fight twice in the movie, and they did fight twice in this movie. But I wanted her to get the full Cheetah on the first time after finding this artifact and giving her the powers. They fight, and Barbara's fighting her, Diana's fighting her, and Barbara just beats the shit out of her because the claws scratch her up and her skin is exposed, and Diana's so scarred up and scratched up, and she loses the fight and barely manages to escape, to the point where she has to run back to Themyscira to get this ancient Golden Eagle armor to protect her from Cheetah's scratches. At the point where Diana would have to do this Olympic Games and she would have to prove herself worthy in order to come back. The politics of Themyscirans will try to revolt against it because she shouldn't be able to return. That's the rule. And Hippolyta is willing to sacrifice her queenship in order to grant her the armor. And Hippolyta gets in trouble and shows all that love and all that for her to escape with the Golden Eagle armor to fight Cheetah with round 2. Like, what's up, girl? I got armor now. Let's fade. None of that happened. And I'm not saying who the freak am I? That should have happened. It's not that I'm saying, oh, that was the way. That's the way it should have happened. I'm just saying that way is just so much better. And it's not, why choose for Cheetah to get 2 wishes from a stone to be a Cheetah, and then when they fight, she doesn't even need this Golden Eagle armor because Cheetah never clawed her not one time. Cheetah never even scratches Wonder Woman in this movie. So why do you need the armor? Fan service. And I just wish that the armor was more than just fan service. I wish that she really needed that armor because she didn't need it. She's flying around and Cheetah's just clawing away at the armor, bending it, breaking it, just destroying the wings. And then Diana's like, all right, freak it. And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, Diana's going to stop defending herself and beat the shit out of her. That's what I saw from the trailers. That's what I thought. And no, the best scene of the entire fight was what we saw in the trailer. She's whipping her and grabs her in the air and throws her down like a cat. That was the best scene in the whole fight. I gotta be honest, that fight was trash. It wasn't even a fight. It was a grappling session. She was whipping on her lasso, and she was whipping on a wire cable, and she kept grabbing Diana by her legs but never scratching her, just letting her spin around and jump all over the place, but never not one time scratching Diana. Wonder Woman didn't lay a finger on her. Wonder Woman didn't, no one punched nobody. I wanted this fight. I expected this fight to be a hand-to-hand fight scene of ferocity, pushing Diana's limits and morality to the edge. I didn't get that. I didn't get nothing like that. I gotta be honest. That fight was bad. And it was a letdown. You put her under, you see this electric wire coming down. She's like, no, it's over, Barbara. You're holding her arms at her side. I'm like, wait a minute. Did she just get another wish to become number one, an apex predator, to be ultimate? But Wonder Woman is holding her arms together in a lake and she can't move. I'm like, what the heck? She ain't shit. She's good. Diana's playing with her. And she beat her without even having to punch her. I'm like, wow. That made Cheetah look pretty bad to me. It made her look really weak. Didn't really put the respect on Cheetah that I thought that she deserved. And she's like, never, I'll never give it up. She says, then I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay, she's about to kill her. She puts her under this pool of water right as the electric cable goes into the water and shocks the shit out of her. She just, and she just floats down at the bottom. I'm like, oh, okay, well, she's dead. That's crazy. She killed her. That's something. And then she goes down there. Diana goes and rescues her and flies out of the water with her and lays her down. And then Minerva's just, she's alive. She just got shock treatment real quick. And that's the end of her. Oh, that was a letdown. That really was. I like the character Cheetah. I like Barbara Minerva. But I feel like that final fight was great. And that's why I said the tunnel vision was the message. It was the heartstrings. It was the emotion, right? I feel like that was glossed over in order to get to the part where Maxwell Lord was, where he was talking to the whole world. And I understand that, but I just wish that that Cheetah fight was better. The third act fight between Diana and Ares in Wonder Woman 1 was better than the Cheetah fight. And that's crazy to say. When Maxwell Lord came and he was talking to the whole entire world, another issue that I had was he was like, "You're too late. It's off. Thank you. Give me your wishes. Granted. Diana gets her lasso and tries to whip it at him, and the lasso can't even penetrate. There's some mystical strength happening here where Diana, who just destroyed the shit out of Cheetah without even trying, can't even get to Maxwell Lord, who's nothing but a gemstone guy. That's a little weird. I'm like, and then she tries to tackle at him. She can't even push through this barrier. The great Diana, she can't even push through and even reach Maxwell Lord. That was an issue for me. I was like, okay, what is going on? And then she's clawing on the ground. She's getting blown away by this wind because he's granting so many wishes. It creates a force field, an invisible force. He has power now. It just really didn't make sense. And he's in this beam where he's, because she whips the camera away. So he's communing with the beam that's directly talking to people. And she's sitting there. She's trying to whip him again, the lasso. And the lasso just flies back. And she tries the lasso again. It just flies back. You're not getting this lasso through. And I'm like, okay, fine. Then she just sits in the corner. She slouches down. And she's like, listen to me. There's nothing more than I'd ever wanted. But it's not right. The message is we as a people could come together. It's not worth it. Look around you. Look what's happening. Look what's happening to the world. And you get the flashback and we see, Maxwell Lord's childhood. Excuse me. I have allergies. And we got that development for him. And he's like, no, it's too late. Why would I turn away now? I can own the world. And she says, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. And then it shows the lasso on his leg. How'd the lasso get there? We saw scenes, we saw 2 attempts of the lasso trying to get through the force field, and it couldn't get through. She tried to charge through the force field. It couldn't get through. Why is the lasso on his leg? I don't know. It crawled through. I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't like this execution. I didn't like it. And he's like, oh, he's trying to get off his leg. He can't. And he's like, stop it. And she's communing. She's using that force field to commune to the whole world, to preach to them, tell them, put it down. It's all about love, and we could come together. And then all of them, she says, look at your son, Alexander. What was the name again? Alistair. Daddy, where are you? Daddy, where are you? He sees what's happening. He sees what's going to happen. He misses and wants to save his son. My son, you can save him. Save your son. Alistair, I renounce my wish. And then there's no lasso on his leg no more. And then he runs off. And then everybody else renounces their wish. It shows a montage of people renouncing their wish, the world coming together. And that's where I said people are going to think it's preachy, but it's the right preachy. That's the message we needed. Only together can we survive and maintain and go through as a people. All of us, different races, religion, political backgrounds, shapes, sizes. All of us are different, but we are all together. We all are united. We're one, and we need to act and move as one. And that message is powerful. And, seeing Maxwell Lord look for his son, hug his son, and he says, son, I am a loser. I'm not a good guy. I've lied to you. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to be proud of me. Hopefully one day you'll be proud of me enough to love me again. And then the child just responds to him like children do. We as adults overcomplicate things too much. And our children remind us just how simple life is. I don't need to be proud of you, Daddy. I love you. You're my dad. And that made me cry. I was like, that's so... We were just weeping. I'm just crying. And it was beautiful. It was truly beautiful. Seeing Wonder Woman fly in that flight scene and seeing the world come together was beautiful. And there's the last thing that I need to talk about. Maxwell Lord gave up his wish. He renounced his wish, which means if Maxwell Lord renounces his wish, that means the stone should reform back in that ring. But we never saw it. We don't know what happened to the stone. It should have done that, but we never got the chance to see it. So does that mean that since he renounced his wish, there should be a stone? The stone should be somewhere, which means the stone wasn't destroyed. It became Maxwell Lord, and when Maxwell Lord renounced his wish, the stone should have formed back the way it was, which means the stone technically is no longer destroyed. So that means the stone was never destroyed. So since the stone wasn't destroyed, that means that everybody had to renounce their wish to save the world? I don't believe that. And I don't believe that everybody renounced their wish in the world. No. Some of the people, probably that woman who wished for $1 million, she got her $1 million and she probably lost something, and she's dealing with it. There's people out there, my man who wished for a Porsche, who probably had who knows whatever he had to lose to give up. I think there's people out there who wished for something that did not renounce their wish. And is the movie telling me? Is that what that montage scene was of everyone that ever wished in the world because of Maxwell Lord renounced their wish? I don't believe that. So if that's the case, that not everybody renounced their wish, then that means that the stone has to have been destroyed. But the stone wasn't destroyed. So if Maxwell Lord says, I renounce my wish, Are they telling me that the stone was destroyed because we saw it disintegrate and become him? And since he renounced it, it doesn't reform, but it just counts as being destroyed. So that means all of the world goes back to normal. These are some of the things that I was talking about as far as questioning the plot, questioning the script, questioning the story. And it's a little messy. You know, it's not as clean cut as Wonder Woman 2017, which is why I gave Wonder Woman 2017 a better grade. Wonder Woman 1 is a better film than this movie, but this is a better superhero film. This is a message, is a statement that needed to be made for us, for humanity, and it contains one of the most epic superhero sequences. It contains the most epic superhero scene that I've ever seen with taking flight. Wonder Woman learning how to fly with Steve Trevor's love and, you know, the invisible jet, you know, all of the amazing stuff in here made for a darn good movie. And that's why I gave Wonder Woman the A-. And now that you guys know this, and we've pretty much went through the whole list, there's more things that I've paid really close attention to this movie, and I feel like I'm just soaking this movie in, and I'm gonna see this movie many more times. Let's have a discussion about this film. Let's talk about this film. Comment to me, DM me. We could talk about it. This is a great film. Patty Jenkins knocks it out of the park once again. This is another successful film under her belt. Patty Jenkins is 3-0, my friends. Monster, Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman 1984. Only thing, let her go ahead and do her Amazon movie like she wants. Maybe Wonder Woman 3. Nah, Jody. Patty gone. But give her Superman, the Last Son of Krypton. Patty gone, bruh. Because there was so much Superman in this movie. There was Indiana Jones in there. Shout out to Lewis. There was a lot of Superman traits in this film. And I worry, Patty, I worry one thing. I worry that, I know that you love Superman, and I know that you would probably like to make a Superman movie, but I feel like because I've felt so much Superman in this movie, I felt like you used this film, you took the opportunity to put your Superman love into this film, and I feel like that, I fear that might have scratched your Superman itch, and I hope it didn't. I hope that, you know, you using a lot of callbacks to Christopher Reeve, that this didn't, you know, scratch your itch to do a Superman film. I really hope that you still have the passion to do one, and I hope that you do. And I'm proud of you for this amazing feat. I'm proud of you for being hot stuff out here. I'm proud of you, Gal, for becoming an icon. I'm proud of you guys for putting Wonder Woman on the map. And I'm proud of you for embracing men who love Wonder Woman too. And to all my followers and everybody who's ever seen a video of Jody's Corner, Patty and Gal understand that Wonder Woman is not just for girls. It's for everyone. It's for boys, girls, all the other things that you might identify as. It's for big, brown, black men with big, bushy beards. It's for everyone. And I thank you for this amazing franchise. Thank you guys so very much for watching my review. I appreciate you guys so very much. I'm Jody Joe, and I'm out this thing, man. Deuces.